kind of by chance, we were invited out to a location in western Oklahoma to do a little cryptid investigating, I guess you would have to say. You can see that hilltop over there in the distance. That is going to be our location from which we will be doing observations. As you can tell, we are far from civilization. Look at that. Bet you there'll be fish in there. Might take us a little while to get over there. Sun is setting. Used to be over there. Over there is where the coyotes were coming from. We got the team set up. We'll settle down and get quiet. Watch and listen. So, has anybody ever seen an orb?
No, but I went and looked for the spook light. And,
did you really?
yeah.
Did you see anything? No?
I'm really more interested in the blonde-headed girl that was with me, but
It must have been a while back.
no orb.
Well, that's a disappointment. I've always wanted to kind of go up there, but it is in the butt crack of Oklahoma up there.
You went where? Well, this was actually across the border into Missouri.
Well, you were over there, yeah. It's that spook light.
Yeah, the spook light. What is it? It's this supposed, it's an orb that just comes out and floats around, you know?
Floats down the highway. I don't think anybody has recorded that spook light in a long time. You'd think there'd be like some new
Revelations on the spook light?
or at least some new videos. I was looking it up a couple years ago and there wasn't really any. There was one video on there, but it really wasn't any good. I don't know.
I went to school for, I guess it was a year at Miami. And that's how I ended up on the spook light thing.
Are you sure you were in school at Miami?
Well,
You know they got a nut house there too.
yeah. I got one just west of here too, but
Yeah, around here
and
everybody.
one of the super funds flowed right through the frickin' campus from all the lead out of the pitcher salt mines or lead mines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we need a pterodactyl call.
Yeah,
Right.
there you go.
I still think we just need to tie a goat up, and that'll attract.
Tie a goat up.
That'll attract either a Sasquatch, a pterodactyl, or a T-Rex.
Or a lion.
Yeah.
What do pterodactyls eat? Other than oil field hands.
And apparently they're really interested in HVAC guys too. So
Yeah, they keep following me around. These bats keep circling me too. Maybe that's a good sign. I don't know.
I'm surprised. Yeah, we still got too much light. We got a half moon, so that's kind of screwing the stars up too.
Mm-hmm.
Big dipper straight overhead though.
Yeah, it is.
This is really not a bad place to set.
No, it's pretty cool.
I have to see when we freaking roll to the bottom on the way down here in a little while.
Tuck and roll, baby. Climbing down off the top of a mesa in the dark. Yeah. Well, you couldn't have picked a better night.
No.
It's nice out here.
It is.
Should brought your cot.
No.
Sleep up here. So, have you guys seen that photo that's been circling the internet for years of those Union Army soldiers standing there with the dead pterodactyl?
Yeah.
Now,
Supposed to be in Tombstone, Arizona.
I don't know where it was supposed to be.
I watched it last night.
Did you?
I did a little research.
So, supposedly, the original of that photo has disappeared. And so it can't be, like, analyzed. And, what do you guys think about that? You think that could be real? I mean, I've seen...
I know the Smithsonian makes a lot of shit disappear.
Well, that's the truth. Yeah, they do. They've been doing it with all the giant skeletons for years.
Now that looks like a UFO going across the.
It is.
Where's a UFO?
There's something on the train track over there, though.
What is that? Looks like 4 vehicles.
That's probably just the engines are lit up, you know. 3 locomotives, maybe 4 locomotives.
Maybe.
There's a train track right over there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what is the most trains going by? 3 of them, I think.
They're talking about there's a hobo camp up here too, kind of
Really?
just south of Winoka, where they there's some sightings there.
The sand dunes. Hey. Sand dunes.
Well, it is kind of a
Bates. Hobo camp.
Do they have the little handkerchief thing on the stick?
I don't know.
No, those are vagabonds.
You know, my grandma used to tell us about this hobo, and I bet my mom could tell you his name, but he was a local, and he would come around every 6 months or so to their house over there in Marshall.
Yeah.
And I guess he knew that if he came up to the back door and knocked on the door, yeah, that my grandma would make him a sandwich or something, or fix him some food.
Yeah.
But he wasn't allowed to come in the house.
Okay.
And it's been a long time since I heard this story, but I don't think he was allowed to go to the front door either. which is why he went to the back door.
Huh.
But I guess it got to the point where this old man was, you know, just a common occurrence, and he would come around every few months or something like that.
And get a sandwich and be on his way, huh?
Yeah. You know, I was watching a deal on the internet a couple of years ago, and they were talking about how the hobos used to have their own language, like a sign language that they would.
Yeah, they'd mark the posts.
They'd mark buildings
Yeah.
and stuff, and they had their own language. And I never knew that. I thought that was really cool. But it makes sense.
Well, that's pretty interesting about that guy you said that just goes and rides the rails once a year.
Yeah, I wonder if he's still doing it. Supposedly he was a stock market trader guy. And I guess when it came time for him to do that, he'd just take all of his money and he would put it in something secure for a while, you know.
Jump a train, huh?
Jump a train.
You know, I wonder what all goes on in the railroad yards at night, because there's some good art that I see rolling down the highway, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, with some talent, and it took time to do it, and it looks like a lot of it's airbrush stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing one time at it was in Enid, and it was right there on Southgate, where the tracks crossed that, and it was a big boxcar came by, and it had the whole side of the whole boxcar was painted up, and then it was an alien moonscape. And what it was
Whoa.
two aliens with, you know, glass helmets, bubbles,
Uh-huh.
and everything, and the landscape's all behind them, and they are looking really startled. And it's that they're scared of seeing the people at the railroad crossing is what it goes. Yeah, I was like, that's the best fucking boxcar I've ever seen.
Yeah, that
I
sounds.
mean, somebody spent a tremendous amount of time out in the railroad yard painting that.
Well, apparently those railroad cops aren't as diligent as we seem to think.
But then there's a lot of gang stuff that's on there that I don't understand. I can't decide. I don't.
It's written in Ebonics, man. Ain't no wonder you can't understand it.
I still like that little clip. Every once in a while, I watch that clip off Airplane. Remember?
Oh Lord.
And she's like, "Excuse me, sir, I don't speak jive." He's talking to them.
Yeah.
And I still, for life, and they can't figure out what they're saying.
You know what the worst part about old movies is? You remember them as being funny as hell, but then you go back and watch them later and you're like, that's just stupid. My cousin called me up a couple years ago and he's like, you'll never guess what I bought. I'm like, what? He goes, all the seasons of Land of the Lost. And I was like, really? He's like, yep. He goes, I'll let you borrow them. I'm like, hell yeah. So I pop them in, and you know, here's the slee stacks, you know, and I'm just like, I cannot believe I had nightmares about this crap when I was a kid. This is just ignorant. And I don't even think I watched past like the third episode. And I was like, I am done with this. So I called him up, and he was like, yeah, it's pretty stupid, isn't it? It's like, that's why I gave it to you.
I remember as a kid being scared to death of King Kong.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why.
I remember Dark Shadows.
That was a vampire, right?
Yeah, it was a vampire thing that was on at 4 o'clock when you got out of school or whatever.
ABC or something.
Yeah.
Mm.
That was kind of creepy.
Remember.
I still like Idiocracy. I mean, sometimes when I just like, okay, I need a good chuckle, you know.
Yeah.
Watch Idiocracy, but it's becoming closer and closer and closer to reality every day. You know, I mean, just hell, all you gotta do is listen to the president and his advisors talking on any given Friday, and you're like, I remember reading I don't know, was it in Gibbon or whatever, but it was about the rum at the, towards the end. Everybody says, it's rum and it's falling or whatever. But they reached a point where the Praetorian Guard would kill the Caesar and then auction the crown off. It's bitter. And I'm like, we're just our game show president. We're getting pretty fucking close to that,
Well, yeah. It just ain't public. The auction ain't. Now you just make your donations to the Clinton Foundation. That last step is a doozy. I came up right down through there. They already down? Dang. Well, that's a good question about the dog man. I'm still learning. I've been watching some YouTube videos and stuff, and I don't really, know very much. But the general consensus among everyone is that the Indian Nations people know more about them than anybody else, but they don't want to talk to them because they believe that speaking about them and speaking their name gives power to them, which, it does kind of make sense.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah, exactly. And, but supposedly they've been around a long, long time. And I'm about to imagine that, if they are what everybody says they are, they could have been the start of where the whole werewolf legends and stuff come from. But supposedly they don't change into a man. They're born that way, and they're that way for the rest of their lives. I've heard different reports that they hunt singularly, and I've heard different reports that they sometimes hunt in packs. And I hear these goofy stories that they can control packs of coyotes, and the coyotes follow them and do their bidding. You hear all this crazy stuff, and supposedly they're highly intelligent, and I don't know. I don't know what to make of them. The Indians pretty much kind of consider them a demonic presence. Now, demonic is a Christian word, but they consider them to be evil. Of course, I don't think they believe that Sasquatches are evil. But then again, I think they're smart enough to know that Sasquatches are a lot like people, and you take a Sasquatch that's had his family butchered by humans, he's probably going to be
Hostile.
Yeah. And, I tell you what, I don't really believe. People say that Sasquatches can't be killed with bullets and stuff. I don't buy that. I bet you they can. It's just they do it later somewhere slowly and probably in agony. And but that's my opinion on that. And whatever that's worth is squat. I know supposedly when Mount St. Helens exploded, they had dead Sasquatches floating down the river. There's a lot of interesting stories about Mount St. Helens and Sasquatches and whatnot. But yeah, when it comes to the DMs, I don't know that much. I'm learning. It's really hard to find information on them on the internet. there's just not a whole. I mean, when you pull up Sasquatch, there's a never-ending amount of stuff. No one person can, listen to all the stories and do all that. But there's an extremely limited amount of information on Dogman. And I'd not imagine that a lot of the Dogman sightings and Sasquatch sightings are crossed over. Most of these sightings happen at night. If you see something that's big, bipedal, and it's in the shadows and dark, who's to say it could be either one,
Yep.
But I don't know. I'm sure that they've been misidentified. So, and who knows? What I saw may have just really been the biggest dog that ever lived. Hard to say. I never saw him stand up. I don't know, but I can tell you right now, that was a 300 to 500 pound dog. I've seen.
I mean, what's a big timber wolf? 250 pounds, maybe. Maybe.
I don't think they get that
I
big.
don't think they get that big.
Dire wolves maybe back in, but they're extinct. But a dire wolf was at least a third, maybe a half larger than a regular wolf. But they've been extinct for a long time.
I tell you what I find fascinating is they said probably was migration of the Asians across the land bridge and everything, that there were big giant bears roamed up in the Canadian places.
Flat-faced bears or something like that?
I can't remember what they call them, but they were huge, like 18-foot tall bears or some shit.
Well, that was a bunch of crap anyway. It was that I don't really think that ever really happened the way they said it did. I think the Polynesians sailed over here and they were here a long time before. I mean, supposedly that ice age and the land bridge was 12,000 years ago. Well, they found remains of villages and stuff down in South America that are 33,000 years old. So that kind of blows that all to hell.
Well, and there's some places here in what was it, Florida, that we found some tusks that had pictures of mastodons engraved on them. And I don't know, the theory was that the North Atlantic froze over during that, and folks walked around on the ice shield to make it over. I mean, hell, a trip to Black Mesa. We know people have been here for tens of thousands of years.
This morning. Well, here's my deal. How long did it take Christopher Columbus to sail across the ocean?
Or did he? He could have been part of the moon landing conspiracy.
Yeah. You're not going to convince me that they...
3 months. Maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking around 90 days.
Yeah. How long would it take you if it was frozen to walk across there? I don't think you can carry enough food.
Yeah, that's it, unless you're eating blubber or something from whales.
Well, it'd be tough, man.
Well, then how did they get there? By ship?
I believe they were there already, prior to the Ice Age.
I tend to agree with you. I mean, I believe that what's written in Genesis, but evidently there were other people that Adam and Eve children married, and the only logical explanation for me is that maybe immediately after Adam got other men and women.
Well, that's the only explanation.
Or we watched the movie. I thought weren't Joe's when we watched the movie about that pre-Adamite population or whatever. They said
I don't remember watching that.
if you do the math, if
he lived, if Adam lived to be 900 years old, if you did the math and all this stuff, because some of the giveaway is Cain built city. Cain and his sons built cities. Like, well, hell,
Yeah.
you're telling me that his kids, it's him that he built cities? But he said 900 years, you can get like a pretty substantial, it keeps exponentially going. But nobody really knows, you know. There's two ways to look at it.
Isn't there a part in there where when Cain kills Abel, and Cain goes south and marries? Right?
No.
Well, that would mean I would assume that he married a human woman.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an assumption, but
I have heard people theorize that Adam and Eve had other children that came in.
I don't believe they did. I believe they mentioned many more, but these were the first.
You know,
Right.
And they were obviously
coming down on the hill.
for them to marry.
Well,
I got a ton on stuff.
depends on how long those firstborn boys were around
Well,
before they married.
All I want me little cornbread.
are you alluding to the idea that they married one of their sisters?
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's possible.
it is. It is a little odd to me, though, that later in the Bible that is outlawed in Leviticus.
Well, it's going to be one of the Lord's mysteries that he's going to have to explain to us.
have you all ever heard of the Book of Lilith?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I have heard of it. I have not. I don't know if it's actually in print, but I have heard of it.
The Book of Lilith.
Lilith. She was Adam's first wife.
It's supposedly a Cro-Magnon woman or something.
She was evil.
Well,
More evil
I
than
was
Eve.
gonna say.
more evil.
Yeah.
So she stole a banana or something out of the guy.
She cost an arm and a leg instead of a rib.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of him. A Mason friend, you know, by the level in the eye guy, was talking about it.
Well, when it really boils down to it, I think a lot of that stuff is designed by God to be a mystery, to require faith. And one thing I do believe is that all creatures on this earth are His creation. That includes, you know, Sasquatches and dogmen and whatnot, and
Centipedes.
you know, flying pterodactyls. I don't know about centipedes. But my point is this, you know, even the devil is the Lord's creation, Lucifer is, and so are all the fallen. And technically, you know, I mean, so were the, what are they called? The sons of man?
Yeah.
The Nephilim.
The Nephilim. I mean, they're all, you know, basically the creation of God, God's hand. I mean, and my point is I guess, it's not impossible. I think the big problem that nobody wants to talk about, and the reason why nobody wants to believe in this thing is simply because that would mean the simple fact that it's avoided us this long means that it is of somewhat higher intelligence. And the fact of the matter is, I don't think people are ready for certain types of knowledge, and I don't think people are ready for the knowledge that there might be another animal on this earth that is of the same caliber as we are. Perhaps even, stronger, faster, just as wise. We talked about how their technology may have evolved just in a different pattern on our last camp out, but I guess where I'm going with this is I don't think people, what's the old saying, a person is smart but people are stupid. I don't think people are ready for that kind of information. Just like I don't think people are ready for the knowledge that there are aliens, if there are aliens. And it's just like the whole Ice Age thing. I don't think people are ready for the information that mankind has been around a long time, and we have been clean swept multiple times for one reason or the other, or by one reason, or whether it be an asteroid or biological. Let's face it, everything that we've done, from learning how to build the wheel and fire to going to the moon and having iPhones, it's all been done in 6,000 years. The human race has been around for 250,000 years in the state we are in now. So you are telling me that for 244,000 years we did nothing but suck on rocks and chase each other around and breed and nothing? No technology advancements whatsoever in 244,000 years that we were on this planet. And then all of a sudden one day, bam, 6,000 years we're on the moon. Bullshit. It don't work that way.
Well, I agree. We didn't land on the moon.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know what to believe on that one. I will say that they have some pretty convincing arguments. Why ain't we been back? That's the only.
No, you should be able to book a room at a Holiday Inn on the freaking moon.
Amen, brother.
On a weekend,
All,
take the shuttle up.
all I'm saying is the biggest piece of evidence that we have for the fact that the whole moon landing was bullcrap is the fact that we ain't been back. That is the biggest piece of evidence. I mean, what year was that?
69. Was it 69?
That was before I was born. I was born in 72.
Had a guy talking the other day and he said to watch a documentary on YouTube called Alien Noon.
Oh, God.
But I heard there's like old lore or whatever that says that the moon was
Made of cheese?
made here or was brought here or something like that.
Stilted cheese.
Yeah. Did you guys ever watch that interview that Jimmy Kimmel did with Bobo from Finding Bigfoot? That's actually kind of funny. I'm not a Finding Bigfoot fan at all, but that was pretty funny watching Bobo on that show. I'll have to send you a link to that video. It's pretty funny.
Wasn't it Neil Armstrong would never make public appearances or whatever after the supposed moon landing? I think he kind of went into.
Well, do you blame him?
Well,
I mean, plus the government probably, if he did get up there and find something he wasn't, that was top secret, hell's bells. They probably kept him under lock and key.
What do I miss?
Neil Armstrong not making public appearances after getting back and jogging around the moon. Ring of fire, man. Say something we know.
I don't even know if I know that one.
burning fires.
Did you ever watch that movie Apollo 18?
Yeah, that's the reason we never went back.
Well, it's a terrible movie. Don't watch it.
Is that the one with Tom Hanks?
No, that's Apollo 13.
Yeah.
Oh, this is with the new one.
The Apollo 18 is the,
Oh, is that the alien
Yeah.
thing? Oh,
Yeah,
no, I
well,
haven't actually watched
the-
it.
Like the little spiders are all over.
yeah, the best scene in that movie is when they run across the Russian capsule.
Yeah.
On the moon.
Yeah.
Shoot, I might have to watch that. It sounds scary as hell.
And what was the deal? I forget, the guy was dead, or
Yeah, the little rocks or whatever were killing people. Spiders. I don't know what they were.
No.